the most hot button issue. Now, we don't usually like to touch the real serious stuff here because we like to be fun. We'll leave that to the you know who they are. Michael Jennings will play his 300th game this week. The NRL are not going to celebrate it, yet they're allowing him to play it. What are your thoughts?
I got a two-stage process to this, right? Is there are so many players not so many. There are players in the game who are questionable characters, and you think, should they really be playing NRL? But the NRL, as it has notoriously been, is the opportunity for a second and third chance, right? I think the NRL, when the Roosters went to them and said, hey, we might be registering Michael Jennings' contract, the NRL went, look, he's 35, he hasn't played in a couple of years, chance of him playing first grade this year, slim to none, so be it. The Roosters are in a situation now where they have got so many injuries and suspensions and players out of form that they have to bring him in. Now, 300 games is huge, and I think he's like the 51st or 52nd player to get to the 300 games. If you're going to allow him back, you have to celebrate it. And that's the thing. It spits in the face of every female rugby league player, every female referee, every female fan, every female connected to rugby league. It absolutely spits in their face. Because you've allowed him to come back, but because you've allowed him to come back and complete what 95% of rugby league players haven't achieved. And I'm probably going to cop some grief for that now, but if you've allowed him to come back, you have to give him his flowers.
They've made their own bed. Now they need to line it. To say, hey, it's all good. You can play the game. You pass the character test. But we can't celebrate you, even though if you score 4 tries this weekend, you're going to be all over the papers. You're going to be all over the media. It's been acknowledged, because I didn't even know it was his 300th game until this became an issue. It's out there. Now, I'm okay with them not parading him as a player that you should look up to or whatever. People can have their own opinions. I've certainly got mine, and that is that players, come in with very, very awful acts committed. I don't like it. I think they should miss women in league round at very least, but you can't pick and choose. If you let him back in, you got to say, hey, congrats on your 300th. You don't have to hire a skywriter to say, hey, congrats, so-and-so. But I just think they continue to shoot themselves in the foot. You're going to let him back in. You cannot pick and choose. They've said, notoriously, I wrote about Robert Louis years ago, and they said he came back in Women in League round after he was convicted or whatever it was. It's been so long now. Some pretty horrible stuff. And they said, look, we can't let him back in and then tell him, but they're doing it now. Just make a decision. Either he can play or he can't. He can be celebrated or he can't. You just can't pick and choose. They've set that precedent.
Yeah, I'm running some numbers for you now, so just give me 1 minute.
Well, while you do that, I have seen some Roosters fans come out and say that, he's a player, he's playing for the Roosters, we're going to cheer him despite what happened. Others have come out and said, it's reignited the debate. Unfortunately, earlier you said and backtracked that a lot of players have done it. There's 1 per 2 teams now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be at the point where, going with Cronulla, Adam Fanua-Blake, he's celebrated milestone games. I can't even remember the incidents in question, to be honest. I just know that they were bad. You've had players that have done some awful things celebrate.
In the history of rugby league, how many players have played at least 1 game?
Oh, jeez. Thousands, right?
According to rugbyleagueproject.org, which is a fantastic website and a great place to look up historical games and players, but there have been 41,410 players to have played 1 game of rugby league, and Michael Jennings becomes the 51st player of them to play 300 games. It's an awful situation that we find ourselves in. But if you're going to allow him back and you're going to register his contract and say that he passed the fit for purpose character test to play rugby league, you've got to give the man his flowers. I hate it, but you've made your bed, lay in it. Cop the grief, and to come out and say we're going to celebrate it and then turn around and go, oh, actually, because of fan backlash. The fan backlash was when you allowed him to register his contract. It's not now. The fan backlash is not now. The fan backlash is when you have allowed him to register his contract. That's when the people were up in arms. Stupid.
Completely fair.